So for the first one up here, you remember we have present value, which is right now, future value, which is going to be at some point in the future. In between there, of course, we have that compound interest. The key to figuring out what to do with these is figuring out what we're given. The 7,500, is that the present value or the future value? Present value. Tim has that right now. He wants to know what he's going to have in the future. That's what he's trying to find. What goes on in between there is the 6.2% compounded monthly for 7 years. Now, if you're trying to use the table in the book, this one ain't going to work because that rate per period that you need to find is your rate divided by the number of periods in a year. 6.2 divided by 12 isn't going to work out nice and neatly. Yes, ma'am. If you use the formula instead, yeah. No, if you use the formula instead, I'll go back in and I'll adjust it so that those are correct. I'd prefer you use the formula rather than the table, to be honest. Yeah, especially on the, like I said, this quiz, starting with this quiz is where I have to start grading the quizzes by hand. So if you get it wrong and you go back and look at the quiz later and you're within a few cents, don't worry about it. I will change that when I go back and regrade them. Because most of the problems in my math lab do use the table. I actually do prefer you use the formula. So either answer will work for me. So you cannot find the rate per period here, so it won't be on the table. You can find the rate per period, but what you find won't be on the table. Your number of periods, of course, is what? Well, it's 12 per year times 7 years. It's 84 total periods. That also might be hard to find on the table. I think your table goes up to 30. Yeah. So our future value is going to come out of our formula, which is our present value of 7,500. Now here's really the only difference in the formula. Is this next thing going to be times or divide? Times. We're getting larger. 1 plus my rate, 0.062 divided by 12, because it's 12 periods per year, to the power of 12 times 7, which we've already figured out is 84. Oops, I can get rid of some of this stuff. There's my calculator. So 7,500 times parentheses 1 plus 0.062 divided by 12. Power of 84. 11,562.72. Is that our answer? No, why not? I only asked for the interest. That is the ending balance, maturity value, future value. I have to subtract 7,500 to get $4,062.72 in interest. That's my answer. Questions? It'd give you 0.51666, something like that. Because you got 6.2 divided by 12. I think you were doing 12 divided by 6.2. 0.51666. Any other questions? Okay, on to the second example we had up here. So once again, we have present value and future value. And we have the $5,000 here, the $5,000. Where does that go? Is that the present value or future value? That is future value. That is money that Sam wants to have in the future, in 4 years. So in between here, of course, is going to be the 4 years, the 8.9%, and it's going to be quarterly. And we're looking to find that present value. So we set up this formula. The present value is going to equal 5,000. What's next? Because we are going backwards, it is divided by. In the parentheses, 1 plus 0.089 divided by 4 to the power of 4 times 4. The first 4 is the 4 periods in the year from quarterly. The second 4 is because it's 4 years. I'm going to cross that off. 4 times 4 is 16. So it's going to be the power of 16. So we'll punch that in, 5,000 divided by, parentheses, 1 plus 0.089 divided by 4, close my parentheses, power of 16, 3516.06. Is that my answer? Yes, it is. That's what Sam would have to invest today under those conditions, 8.9% compounded quarterly, in order to have $5,000 in 4 years. Any questions there? So what we've talked about so far in the last 3 weeks, simple interest. How do we know whether a problem is simple interest? Well, first thing, I want to call them indicators. First thing is you're going to see the word simple, right? It might say simple interest note, or it might say simple discount note. Those phrases indicate the simple interest. The formulas that go along with simple interest, I equals PRT. That's the simple interest note. For simple discount note, it's still I equals PRT. But remember, what we're finding there is a discount. For simple interest, it's maturity value equals principal plus interest. For simple discount note, it is proceeds equals principal minus discount. And remember, with that then, in the simple discount note, you have to find an effective rate, or you might be asked to find an effective rate that is higher than the actual stated rate, because you don't get the full amount of money. Remember the characteristics of this? Interest is only calculated when there is either one, an action on the account, that would be a payment or withdrawal, or what? Maturity. Very good. They will never have any sort of compounding period stated. So then we talked about compound interest last week. In compound interest, your indicators, Your big indicator will be the phrase, after you have your percent, blank percent, compounded quarterly, monthly, semi-annually, or annually, whatever. It'll actually say that word compounded in there. You have present value going to a future value. And all that stuff in between is, of course, your percent, your compounding, and your time, your years, periods. Both of these are characterized, both simple and compound interest, are characterized by, in general, one payment at the beginning, and then nothing until the end. For simple interest, of course, interest is calculated once. Compound interest, of course, interest is calculated regularly. We'll say interest is added regularly. Does that mean that these never have payments in the middle there? Of course not, because we've already done problems where there's payments in the middle. You may have those partial payments. You know, like the US rule. Remember that from 3 weeks ago? That's where you borrowed so much money for 120 days. Let's just write down an example. We won't calculate it out, but we'll write out an example of what it looks like. Pat borrows $2,800 at 4.2% for 90 days. Come on. On day 42, Pat makes a $1,200 payment. Does that look familiar? So that doesn't mean that the thing is there's no scheduled regular payment there. There's no, oh, we're going to make this payment every 30 days or once a month, whatever. Or we're going to make a payment every quarter. There's no scheduled regular payment. Which brings us up to what we're going to start talking about tonight. No, I'm not scared. Annuity and sinking funds. In these, we have a present value. Oftentimes, and we are going to have a future value. Oftentimes, either the present value or the future value is zero. We're starting, rather than putting in a lump sum, and that's what characterized these up here. is we had a lump sum at the beginning and a lump sum that came out at the end. Well, for an annuity or a sinking fund, rather than having that lump sum, it's going to be divided up evenly. So in between here, we do have the percent interest. We do have a number of periods, the time, and we even have the regularity. I don't want to say compounding because it isn't technically compounding, but it kind of is. I'm going to put percent, periods, and time. So the periods are implying the type of periods here. And not only is interest found regularly, but also, and here's the big difference, payments are made regularly. And when it comes to the annuity and sinking fund, it is a regular amount. So not unlike when we had that US rule, those partial payments, they may have made a different amount of a payment every time. There was no scheduled time to make a payment and no regular amount that they had to make. They just paid what they could. Here, there is a regular schedule of payments and a regular amount that has to be made on that schedule, on those times. It'll be the same amount every time. It's evenly split up. So we said that either the present value or the future value is zero. What we're going to start out with tonight is we start with zero. And we are going to, at regular intervals, add in those regular payments. And also at those regular intervals, we're going to add interest. To get some sort of future value. So we're starting out with nothing, and we're building up to that lump sum future value. This is called the accumulation phase of an annuity. Why is it called an accumulation phase? You start out with $0 and the value accumulates up to that ending amount. Remember, accumulation means building, getting larger. Kind of like my credit card bill accumulates. The opposite side of this, of course, is ending at $0. And of course, we start with a lump sum present value. And in between there, same thing happens. There's either regular payments These regular payments may be in or out. I'll explain what I mean by that in a little bit. Up here, those regular payments, it's always adding payments. Those are always being paid into the fund. Down here, those regular payments may be paying in or out. I'll tell you what I mean by that. And then, of course, we also add interest on a regular basis. This is called one of two things. The liquidation phase of an annuity what that would be, let's say you've got all this money saved up and you retire. After you retire, you're going to start drawing money out every month. So that would be drawing money out. You're drawing out and you are receiving payments. Kind of, yes. Social Security was originally designed to be an annuity, but they kind of blew that. The average working class American, in order to draw back out what they paid in for Social Security tax, would have to live to about 109. They are running short. Yeah. Or the other possibility here is this could be what's called a sinking fund. Sinking fund is a fancy word for something that pretty much all of you have probably experienced. It's a loan. You're still making regular payments, but what you're doing is you're making payments in to pay down the balance. So that's why I said, remember I said payments could be going in or out. If it's a retirement fund, a retirement annuity, you have money sitting there and you're drawing out. The payments are being made out to you every period so that you can use the money to live off of. If it's a loan, that balance is there, but technically it's a negative balance and you're paying it off to bring it to zero. You're making the payments in. The math is identical no matter which way it's going. That's the nice thing about it. Today we are going to focus on accumulation phase of an annuity. So that means we are starting out with a zero beginning balance. And we are going to be building up to a future value. And in between here is going to be regular periods. Those periods, just like compound interest, could be monthly, could be quarterly, could be annually. The most common are either monthly or annually that you would make a payment in. The absolute most common is monthly because many annuities are paycheck withdrawals. A little known fact, by the way, any of you ever contributed money into like a tax shelter or TSA, anything like that? No? All right. If you ever do, they take money out of your paycheck every 2 weeks or whenever you get a paycheck. Yeah. They still only actually put that money into the account once a month. So because you're not allowed to put it in more often than once a month. Most places charge a processing fee, so they only do it once a month. So what's happening is the company you work for is drawing that money out and hanging on to it till the end of the month. So they're getting interest off of your TSA contributions. Why do you think most companies are so willing to do TSA matching? I mean, they still lose a little bit of money on the matching, but they're getting a lot of it back in the interest they're earning on the money they take out of your paycheck to hold for that couple of weeks. Just a little piece of trivia for you. There are two types of annuities. Ordinary annuity. The payments are made into the fund at the end of the period. So that means if these green dots or these spaces between green hashes are the periods, you would make the first payment would go there at the end of the first period. Second payment goes there at the end of the second period. Third payment at the end of the third period. Fourth payment at the end of the fourth period, which means the last payment is going to be made right at the end of the annuity. So that last payment is going to get how much interest? Nothing, right? That last payment just goes in. You literally make the payment in, and then it's due. It's ready to come out. There's something called an annuity due. Here the payments are made into the fund at the beginning of the period. So if this is an annuity due, the first payment's made at the beginning. So the zero balance is only there for an instant, and then you make your first payment in already. Your second payment's made in at the beginning of the second period. Your third payment's made in at the beginning of the third period. Fourth payment's made at the beginning of the fourth period. Last payment is made at the beginning of the last period. So at the very end, there is no payment made at the very end. You've already made all your payments at the beginning of the periods. So what that means is that last payment still gets a month's worth of interest. Now I want you to think for a second. Don't answer out loud, but think. Which one is going to draw more interest? The annuity due or the ordinary? What do you think? In the annuity due, let's say that there is only 6 periods in this, right? The annuity due, this first payment's going to sit there for how many periods? Not 6, 5, because it's made at the end of the first period. There's only 5 periods left. So in the ordinary annuity, that first payment's only there for 5 periods because it's made at the end. In the annuity due, that first payment's going to sit there for all 6. So which one do you think gets more interest? The due is going to get more interest. I'll put it down here. In the annuity due, that last payment's going to sit there for a period and draw interest for a full period. Where in the ordinary annuity, that last payment's made right at the end, it gets no interest at all. What happens in the annuity due is basically what you're doing is you're shifting. This point here is going to be the same as right there. So what you do with the annuity due is you just figure one extra period of interest. So the annuity due, more interest, we actually get one period of more interest. So the math behind it is exactly the same. There's just one step added on for the annuity due. Because what would be the ending balance for the ordinary annuity is the balance at the beginning of the last period for the annuity due. So all that's going to happen is it sits there for one more period, you get one more period worth of interest. We'll get to that in a minute. So let's look at a formula here for, let's say we are given the amount of the regular payment in. Given the amount of the regular payment into the annuity, and of course, the percent, the time, etc., right? If we want to find the future value, in other words, the ending balance, our formula, that future value is equal to the amount of that regular payment. By the way, make sure you have plenty of room at the end of your page for this formula. I'll give you a second if you want to rewrite it down below. Give me more room. The future value is equal to that amount of that payment times open parentheses. In fact, there's 1, 2, 3 open parentheses. Why does there have to be 3? Well, because your book gives these formulas as a fraction, but your calculator does not accept formulas as fractions. So to put them in your calculator, you've got to put it in linear form, so it's all in one single line. So to make it all work in one single line into your calculator, you got to have 3 parentheses because you have different sections of the fractions that we'll work with. So in here it is 1 plus R, which is your rate, again, divided by N, which is your number of periods in a year again. So monthly would be 12, quarterly would be 4, annually would be 1. Close parentheses, that's the first one, to the power of N times T. Looks a lot like the compound interest formula so far, doesn't it? Minus 1, that's because we don't get interest in the last period. Close parentheses, there's our second close parentheses. Divided by, open parentheses, oh, we added another one. Our rate divided by N, your number of periods in a year again. Close parentheses and close parentheses. Hey, don't get on me. I did not make the formula. That's the end of that formula. That's the next formula. Okay, that's fine. I'll let you tell them. Has to be 3 at the beginning to make it work. It'll totally give you a really messed up answer. Some calculators will give you an input error or syntax error of some sort, but some will just give you a really messed up answer. So here's our example. Alex has $200 taken from her paycheck each month. And invested in a 9.1% ordinary annuity. By the way, if it doesn't say ordinary or annuity do? Always assume ordinary. Okay. How much will she have in 25 years? Anybody want to take a wild guess before we write out the formula? $200 every month for 25 years. Way higher. Yeah. $200 comes out to $2,400 a year put in. She's going to invest. What's going to come out of her paycheck is somewhere around $75,000. Actually, probably somewhere around 6,000 or 60,000. I should say. The bonus should come out. Here's her formula. That future value is going to equal her payment is 200 times 1, 2, 3 parentheses 1 plus what's our rate? 0.091 divided by, it is monthly, so it's 12 to the power of 12 times 25, right? I'm going to cross that off right now. What is 12 times 25? 300. There we go. Minus 1. We close our parentheses. Divided by, open our parentheses. What goes in next? 0.091 divided by 12, close and close. See how simple that was? It's just a matter of entering it in. So now we got 200 on the calculator times 123, 1 plus 0.09 divided by 12, close, power 300. Now here's the trick. Once you get to that 300, on many of your calculators, you have to get out of the power, out of the exponent. It's either down arrow or right arrow. Most of them, it'll be the right arrow. Notice now the cursor is down where it normally would be. Then minus 1, close parentheses, divided by, open parentheses, 0.091 divided by 12, close and close. 227,994.32. I'll give you a second to finish punching it in. Here, I'll move it up a little bit for you so you can see it better. Didn't work? Here, I'm going to pause the recording. So let's have you guys try one on your own. Actually, you know what? It is break time. Let's in. So for this one, remember the future value is equal to the payment times. I'm going to erase that word payment that I gave you for a hint. We put in the $500 is the amount of the payment. Times, you'll get 3 open parentheses, 1 plus 0.105 divided by, payments are made quarterly, so 4 to the power of 120. There you go. That is 4 times 30. Yes, gives us the 120. Minus 1, close a parentheses, divide by, open parentheses, 0.105 divided by 4, close and close. So let me punch it in, see what I come up with. 1, 2, 3. Oops. My calculator wants to be a pain tonight. Divided by 4, power of 120. Anybody want to throw their number out there before I hit equals? 407-749. Well, let's see what we get. That is it. 407-749-14. So we got any questions or issues there that you want me to go over? Good? Okay. Perfect. What if it is an annuity due? The formula for the future value of an annuity due. The first majority of this formula is going to look very, very familiar. It's your amount of payment times. Guess how many parentheses? 3. 1 plus R over N. Close parentheses. The power of N times T minus 1. Close parentheses. Notice this is still the exact same formula. Divided by, and it's going to continue to be the exact same formula. All the way up to here, it's the exact same formula. It's the whole formula, in fact, times an extra little factor. The extra little factor is just 1 period's worth of compound interest. No power or anything on that. So let's take a peek here. 10 parentheses. Your compulsion is to count the parentheses tonight. So I'll see if I can beat that before the date's over. Chris invests. Somebody throw out an amount of money you could think you could invest every month. 300. There's a $150. That works for me. You know what? And you know, $20 is still way better than nothing. If that's what you invest, it's the start. Chris invests. You might work till you die, but you'll be the best dressed person. You'll be the best dressed greeter at Walmart, right up to the end. So anyway, Chris invests $150 each month into a 8.8 into an 8.8% annuity due. How much will Chris have in 20 years? So the future value is going to equal that payment amount, 150 times, still 3 parentheses, 1 plus, what goes in there now? 0.088 is our rate from the 8.8%, divided by 12. This is monthly, so 12 to the power of 12 times 20, which is 240. Then what? Minus 1, and then close parentheses, and then divided by 0.088, divided by 12, and then close, times, open, 0.088 divided by 12 and close. So 150 times 1, 2, 3, 1 plus 0.088 divided by 12. Close. Power of 240. Arrow out. 1 or minus 1. Close. Divided by open. 0.088 divided by 12. Close and close. Times open. 1 plus 0.088 divided by 12. Close parentheses. Does everybody get 98, 391, 44? We'll wait for you. Be good with that. So I'm thinking you guys are ready for an example to try on your own now again. You okay over there? So, okay, so let's talk about Kim invests $250 each month into a 10.9% annuity due. What is the balance in 45 years? Now, you look at 45 years is a long time, but if you start out at like 22, 23 years old, 45 years, not impossible. What's that? That's why I preach it over and over again. Okay, I'll give you guys a few minutes to see if you can set that up and punch. Okay, let's see if you guys got everything entered here, okay? Okay, that's okay. I'll wait for you. Okay, so we had our future value is equal to $250 times 3 open parentheses, 1 plus 0.109 divided by 12 to the power of 12 times 45 is 540. Minus 1, close parentheses, divided by open, 0.109 divided by 12, close and close, times, thank you, get out of there, times, open, 1 plus 0.109 divided by 12, close. And you guys get? That is correct. 3,638,456, and how many cents? 92 cents. That'll get you through a couple of years. Yeah. The magic number, by the way, if you can earn 10% interest and start at about 21 years of age to be able to retire at 65 to be a millionaire, the magic number is it's like $85 a month that you have to put away starting at age 21. It's never too late to start. It's like starting today is better than starting next year is the big moral of the story. Okay, so now what we've been doing is we were given the payment amount and we were asked to find that future value. Now let's look at what happens if we are given the desired future value, and of course, the interest and the time and all that happy stuff. And we want to find the required payment each period. This formula will look shockingly familiar. So we want to find that required payment, right? We start out with that desired future value. Now, if you guys remember last week when we were doing present and future value compound interest, when we went backwards, what's the only thing that changed in the formula? To divide. So this is the future value divided by 1, 2, 3. 1 plus r over n, close, power of nt, n times t, minus 1, close. I know I'm going kind of fast. I'll wait at the end here for you to catch up. Divided by, open, r over n, close and close. That's it. It's the exact same formula. The only thing that changed was divide instead of multiply. We're going backwards. So let's do an example. Does everybody have that down? Anybody need a second? So, okay, so let's say that Stacy wants to have let's just do this, $1.4 million to retire in 30 years at 9.8% interest. How much does Stacy need to invest each year? By the way, it's Stacy Thomas Miller, by the way. Stacy, if that changes your mind at all. Sorry. So how do we enter this? Our required payment. There's a reason why I use unisex names, so people can't do anything like that. So our future value is our 1,400,000 divided by 1, 2, 3. 1 plus, what's R? 0.098, thank you. Divided by what's N? 1, once a year, each year. This would be, for example, like IRAs. Most IRAs, you make a contribution at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year, depending on how you want to do it. Usually make it once a year. Divided by, oops, sorry, I got ahead of myself, to the power of 30. 1 times 30, which is just 30, right? Once a year times 30. Minus 1 close parentheses, and now it's divided by, and then open, 0.098, divide by 1, close and close. So 1.4 million, divide by 1, 2, 3. 1 plus 0.098, divide by 1 to the power of 30, minus 1, close, divide by open, 0.098, divide by 1, close and close. $8,838.90. Is that what you guys got? No? You want me to run it through again? $8,838.90? Okay. That sounds like a lot, but divide it by 12. It's still $700, $730 a month. But let's say that Tommy wants to have some people's kid $1 million to retire on in 40 years. So that'd be Tom starting out at 27. At 9.3%, how much should Tom put away each month? How much should Tom invest each month? I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to see what you come up with for that one on. So the payment starts out with $1 million divided by 1, 2, 3. 1 plus 0.093 divided by 12. That's what I got. It didn't work. Nope. But let's compare. Write that down and let's compare and see how far off you are. To the power of 12 times 40, which is 480, minus 1, close, divided by open, 0.093 divided by 12, close, close. Let's see if I make this work on the first try. So the reason that doesn't work to just divide by 12 at the end is your compound interest. But I'm kind of curious to see how close you are. What did you come up with? 195.33. Yeah, so there's that $30-some difference because of compound interest. If it were only like 10 years long, it wouldn't make much of a difference, but being 40 years, it makes a huge difference over 40 years. So that means Tom only has to pay in less than $200 a month to become a millionaire. That's starting at like 25, 26, 27 years old. So $200 a month is affordable. You can actually start IRAs at the age of 16. The only limitation is you can't put away more than what you have in earned income. So they have to have some sort of a job. And let's say that, I think it's $5,500 is the limit. So however much they earn. If they go over $5,500, they can only put away $5,500, but for the year. But if they, if they only earn like $2,800, they can't put away any more than $2,800. That's the deal I made with my kids. Is I would not. I put money away in college funds when they were really young. As they got older, once they hit 16, I told them I'm not putting any more money in college funds for you because it's only going to sit there for a couple of years. But whatever you earn, I will match half of what you earn. So like my son, well, he's not 16 yet, so he can't put away. But he made $2,800 this year so far. So I'd put away $1,400 for him in a retirement account. Um, if you think about that, $5,000 put away if you did the compound interest starting at 16 is a pretty impressive amount of money. I don't think they really want the investment to continue. I mean, I thought the Roth IRA was going to go away. I didn't think that would last because that's really an incredible deal. The Roth IRA, you put it away, you pay taxes on the money before you put it in, but absolutely no taxes on the interest. So when you draw it out, there's no taxes. What you have in there when you draw it out is how much money you have to spend. The regular IRA, you get your taxes back on it now, but then when you drop back out, you've got to pay taxes on everything. So the Roth IRA is just an incredible deal. I didn't think there was any way that would ever last. I figured they'd eliminate that right away, but they haven't. Okay, so let's take a look at another one. What's that? Oh yeah. Let's see, Tim's. Let's word this a little bit different. Tim saves $200 each month in a 9.3% ordinary annuity. After 5 years. Okay, I'll make this easier for you. At 5 years, Tim stops paying in. And lets the money stay in the account for 25 more years. It'll still compound monthly. Find the ending balance. So there are two things happened here. So there's two places on the timeline. This first timeline, of course, we start out with how much? $0. Starts out with nothing. He's going to build up to some sort of future value. I'm put a little A here for an annuity. During that time, he pays in $200 per month at that 9.3%. That is 5 years. The second period of time is 25 years Still 9.3% monthly. Just no contributions put in. Anybody have any thoughts on what we should do? No, crying is not an option. Okay. So the future value of what? 200 times or divide? Times 1, 2, 3. 0.093 divided by 12. 12 times 5, which is 60. Minus 1. Close, divided by, open, 0.093, divide by 12, divide, or close and close. So we have to find that balance first. What we're finding here is the amount right at that point right there. So 200 times 1, 2, 3. 1 plus 0.093 divided by 12. The power of 60 minus 1, close, divide by 0.093 divide by 12, close, close. Did you guys get 15,204.20? So that is the balance they have right here. How do we get from there to there? Just compound interest. Very good. So we're still looking at the future value. This is the future value of compound interest. This is the future value for the annuity section. So we start out with the 15,204.20 times or divide. Times. Only one open parentheses this time, though. Then what goes in? 0.093 divided by 12 to the power of 12 times 25, which is 300. And that's going to be it. So times 1 plus 0.093 divided by 12, close, power 300. 154, 101.09. You might have came up with a couple of cents more if you just entered, because I did the 60.203 instead of rounding it off to 20. So you may have came up with a couple of cents less if you did it when you did it. 0.06. Yeah. So $154,101 basically. You look confused back there. You got her? Okay. So now let's compare here. Instead of doing that for the 5 years and letting it sit for the next 25, Tim spends every penny for 5 years, then saves $200 each month at 9.3% for 25 years. So it's just the annuity for 25 years, right? So future value 200. I'm going to have you race me to this one. Okay, I'll wait for you. Get 235,752.95. Now you look at that. At first glance, you look at that and say, well, they got way more money sitting here by investing for the 25 years than they did for only doing the 5 years. But think about what is their total investment? For the first one, Tim invested $200 a month for how many months? 60 months. $12,000 is all that Tim invested there, isn't it? For the second one, Tim invested $200 a month for 300 months. 60,000. Tim invested 5 times as much and only got about 50% more. If I do this example where in the first one, Tim invests for 8 years and then lets it sit there for 25, it actually works out to get about the same amount. Okay, so you ready for this one? This one's going to lead us into our break, probably. Pat invests $1,000 each quarter into a 10.7% annuity due for 25 years. Find the total interest earned. I'm gonna give you guys a couple minutes to play with that. See what you come up with. Let's try it. First step here is to find the future value. So that's going to be the $1,000 payment times 123. 1 plus 0.107 divided by 4. Power of 100. 4 times 25 is 100. Minus 1. Close. Open. 0.107 divided by 4. Close. Close. Divided by 4. Okay, so what did we get for that balance? 40602. Does that look right to everybody? We concur? Now, that's the first step. There are 2 steps left. Step 2 is to find the total amount invested, which is $1,000 times 100 payments. Times 4 times 25 would work too. So Pat invested $100,000 total. So then the interest, yep, we subtract $499, $406.02 minus $100,000. Yes, we get $399,406.02. So interest definitely did most of the work there for him. It is break time. Let's go ahead and take our break. We'll be back at 7:31. So for the first part A, let's just take a look at that, see how you're doing. I'll give you a little more time for part B if we need to. We start out with the 800,000, which is what Sal wants to have, desired future value, divided by our 3 open parentheses again, 1 plus 0.0875 divided by 12 to the power of 480. That's 40 years times 12 months in a year, minus 1, close, divided by 0.0875 divided by 12, close and close. $184.03. Do we all concur? Again, error. So 8, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. We've got a couple that concur. So I'll give you some time to work on the other one here while we double check everybody's calculations. Oh, tremendous. 184.03 is what I get. So I'll give you. So on our second one, all that has changed in the whole formula is that this is 360 instead of 480. Because it's 30 years now instead of 40. For your payment amount, for what? For 2.5 times as much. That's pretty impressive for just a 10-year difference. Moral of the story is don't play while you're young. Start saving. Let's look at another scenario. Sal saves from 25 to 35. Then lets it grow until 65. Just because I don't feel like writing out the whole long thing. How much each month? How much does he put away each month from 25 to 35? Well, we have to work backwards here. We've got 25, we've got 35, and then we've got 65. What dollar amount do we know? 800,000. What age is that going to be at? Nope, this is the same problem, just looking at it a little different. That's at the 65 years of age. So we first have to get from 65 back to 35. During this time, Sal is not saving. It's just earning the 8 3/4% interest monthly, 25 years. So let's do that first. So that's going to be a present value compound interest. So 800,000 divided by, only one parenthesis again, 1 plus 0.0875 divided by 12 to the power of, that's not 25 years, it should have been for 30 years, shouldn't it? Sorry about that. So that's the power of 360 here. So at 35, in order to get that amount at 65, Sal has to start with 58,506.38. That's the amount that's needed right here. Now, to keep working backwards, there's going to be monthly payments, regular payments here from 25 to 35 at that 8.75% monthly, 10 years, but it's going to be monthly payments. So this is that annuity formula. The payment formula, our future value is the 58,506.38 divided by 1, 2, 3, 1 plus 0.0875 divided by 12 to the power of 120. That is 12 months in a year times 10 years minus 1, close, divided by, and open 0.0875 divided by 12, close and close. So I'm just going to leave this number in my calculator. It might throw us off by a penny, but what did we come up with? $306.63. Mine just disappeared for some reason. Get rid of that extra 3. Notice that is significantly less than the 460. Like I said before, that first 10 years of your life is worth more than the next 30 years. I've got a few of you that are in your 30s that are looking at me like you're ready to run me down in the parking lot tonight. I think we're going to let that part of it go for now. So far, everything we have done, where did it go? Let's try that again. So far, everything we have done, the payment frequency has been equal to the compounding period. What if possibility 1, payments are more often than interest compounding? Go home and cry into your pillow, is that what you said? This is not a terrible situation. For example, let's pick on Sammy again here. Sam, invest at I'm just going to keep the percent simple. At 8% compounded quarterly for 10 years. Sam has $300 per month taken from the paycheck. Find the future value. So the situation we have here, we have the beginning here, the $0 beginning, right? We are heading to a future value. But what we have going on is interest compounds on the quarterly. Payments are made, however, monthly. This looks complicated, but it's not. Well, let's think about this. What happens to this payment right here, this first payment? Between here and here. The answer I'm looking for is how much interest does it earn? The answer is none. Interest doesn't compound until right here. How about this payment from here until there? How much interest does it earn? None. This payment, well, it's right at that point, so there's no interest on that either. So realistically, is there any difference between making these three payments spread out every month, or could Sam have just made one $900 payment at the end of the quarter? Would there be any difference? No, there's no interest figured in between there anyway. So this is the same as making one $900 quarterly payment. So that future value, 900 times 1, 2, 3, I'm going to go a little faster. If my pen cooperates, 1 plus 0.08 divided by 12, close, 10 years to the power of 120. No, not 120. It's power of 40. This is quarterly, so this should be 12. Instead of 12, it should be 4, and this should be 40. Thank you. -1. Sorry, I was trying to get excited and get ahead of myself. That's what I get for trying to go fast. So it is 1 plus 0.08 divided by 4 because it's quarterly to the power of 40 because it's 4 times a year times 10 years -1 divided by 0.08 divided by 4, close and close. Comes out to be a future value of $54,361.78. Is that what everybody came up with? Do you want me to wait so you can punch it in, or you just waited for me? Anybody want me to wait till you finish off your calculation, or are we ready to go on? So that's case 1, not so bad. Case 2. Interest compounds more often than payments. are made. So let's see, we're going to pick on Sam again. Sam invests $500 each quarter for 10 years again into an annuity paying 8% compounded monthly. Of course, find the future value. Let's look at this timeline. So again, at the beginning, we still have $0. We're looking for a future value. The problem now is our interest gets calculated monthly instead of quarterly. But the payments are only coming in quarterly. So the interest is coming in between payments. To make this work, we must find the effective interest rate for a quarter. Why a quarter? Because that's the payment frequency. Do you remember how to find the effective interest rate for a quarter? For effective interest rate? This is effective interest rate. It's compound interest from last week. Remember how to find the effective interest rate for compound interest? Remember, there's two cases. If it's more than a year, what do we use for our time? 1 year. If it's less than a year, what do we use for our time? The actual time. So what do we have to use for our principal? It don't matter, right? We pick whatever we want to. I'm going to pick $10,000. Makes my life a lot easier. So I'm going to first I'm going to start out by finding the future value. They said $10,000 is just what I picked. Has nothing to do with this problem. It's just a way of finding the effective rate. The principal does not matter for effective rate. And we got to find the future value of one period, 1 quarter here. So that's 1 plus 0.08 divided by 12, because it is compounded, the interest is compounded monthly. How many periods is that going to be? 1 quarter is how many periods? 3 months. You got it. There's 3 compounding periods and 1 payment period. Is what that's saying? We compound monthly, but we pay in quarterly. So 10, 201, 34 is our future value. What's our next step? Find the interest. Very good. And we'll do that by subtracting the principal of 10,000. So in that 3 months, that account would earn $201.34 in interest. Then we find our effective rate using I equals PRT. What is going to go into I equals PRT for I? 201.34. How about for P? 10,000. How about for R? That's what we're looking for. How about for T? 1/4. For a quarter of a year. Now we combine 10,000 times 1/4 is 2,500. And then divide by the 2,500. We get 8.054%. You get 0.08054 equals R, which is 8.054%. I am going to keep this out to 1,000th of a percent for now. So notice it pays slightly more than 8% as your effective rate. So now the future value of this annuity, how much is he paying in every quarter? 500, right? Times 1, 2, 3, open parentheses, 1 plus 0.08054 divided by the payments are being made quarterly. So it's divided by 4 to the power of 4 times 10, right? So that'd be 40. Minus 1, close parentheses, divided by open 0.08054 divided by 4, close and close. $302,895. Does that look right? Nope, I got an extra 0. $30,289.53. I'll give you a chance to finish up, catch up. Is that what you got? No? So 500 times 1, 2, 3. 1 plus 0.08054 divide by 4, close, power of 40, minus 1, close, divide by open, 0.08054, divide by 4, close and close. Oops, I got something wrong. Yep, 30,289.53. Perfect. Now, you want some really good news? What we are going to do as far as my math lab homework, quizzes, and on the test, we will always have the compound period equal to the payment period. That's my gift to you. My next gift to you is there a new quiz due tomorrow, Thursday at 11:59 p.m. There is a new homework due for next Wednesday. Class time. My third gift for you is that'll be enough for the night. Drive safely. It was raining out there earlier and it's getting cold. I'm sure it's going to be slick.